Ever get the feeling like you stumbled on a hidden code? Like something's trying to tell you something, but it's all jumbled up.
Kind of like trying to solve a puzzle where half the pieces are missing.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're dealing with today as we dive into this ZYZZ.txt thing.
ZYZZ.txt. Now that's a name that doesn't give much away, does it?
Not at all, right? And trust me, the contents don't make it any clearer. It's just this collection of sentences and phrases almost randomly thrown together.
So no long paragraphs, no clear narrative.
Nope, none of that. But here's where it gets kind of interesting. Throughout this whole jumbled mess, this one word keeps popping up. Revolution.
Revolution, huh? So naturally, that makes you wonder, a revolution against what exactly?
Right. It's like, okay, we're supposed to be riled up, ready to overthrow
Right.
something, but what's the target? And then there's the language itself.
Yeah, let's talk about the language for a second. This isn't your typical academic paper or anything.
Not even close. We're talking super casual, slang everywhere, like brah this and sick cunt that. It's almost aggressive, you know?
It definitely has an edge to it. So how does that kind of language connect to this idea of a revolution?
Well, that's what we're trying to figure out. Maybe it's about rejecting traditional ways of speaking, like those stuffy old rules of grammar and whatnot.
Could be. It definitely feels like a deliberate rejection of formality. Take, for example, the phrase, never be like this bro. It's such a dismissive statement, almost a direct challenge.
And it's personal, too. Like they're calling out a specific type of person, or at least a specific way of being.
It's almost saying, don't conform, don't try to fit in. And that ties into the idea of a revolution, doesn't it? Maybe this isn't about overthrowing a government or a system, but about a revolution of the self.
A personal revolution, yeah. Breaking free from expectations, defining yourself on your own terms, and that actually sheds a whole new light on that phrase, be proud.
Right. It's like a battle cry for individuality, a call to embrace who you are, flaws and all.
But then we go from these deep thoughts about individuality straight into talk of a shredded body. And I gotta admit, that threw me for a loop.
Right. Like, where did that come from? It's this weird mix of the philosophical and the physical.
Like, how do those two even relate? What does having a sick cunt physique have to do with this whole revolution thing?
Yeah, it's a head scratcher for sure. On the one hand, you've got phrases like, we're going to make it aesthetic, brah, which definitely screams physical transformation. But then you have lines like, every one of us is a little bit assisting us, that feel incredibly profound, almost spiritual.
It's like this text is trying to tell us that pushing your physical limits is somehow connected to expanding your mind. You know?
They're two sides of the same coin.
Right.
Maybe achieving that shredded body is just one aspect of this larger transformation ZYZZ.txt is pushing for.
So are we talking about self-improvement here?
It's hard to say for sure. That's the beauty of ZYZZ.txt, though, isn't it? It throws all these pieces at us. The six-cup night, the mention of Colorado, those weird warnings about haters, and it's up to us to make sense of it all.
Yeah, it's like a giant puzzle with no instruction manual. And as frustrating as that can be, it's also incredibly engaging.
Because it forces you to think, to question, to come up with your own interpretation.
Exactly. And maybe that's the point of this whole revolution thing. It's not about following someone else's blueprint, but about forging your own path.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. What if the real power of ZYZZ.txt isn't in any specific message, but in its ambiguity? What if the real revolution happens when you, the reader, grapple with these contradictions and arrive at your own understanding?
It's a fascinating idea, right?
And then
Something to definitely ponder.